we're going to dive into a story that's literally etched into the landscape of South Central Montana. It's a story about a community built on coal, the incredible life it supported, and the one single day that changed absolutely everything. Okay, so let's set the scene. It's February 27th, 1943, a Saturday morning in Bear Creek, Montana, and it was actually unseasonably warm. 77 miners grab their helmets and their lunch pails, and they head down into the Smith mine for a regular shift, with no idea that for most of them, it would be the very last time they'd ever see the sky. Now, the day started out just like any other, but deep, deep underground, something awful was about to happen. We're talking about 7,000 feet from the mine's entrance when a massive explosion of methane gas and coal dust just ripped through the tunnels. And it happened so far down that on the surface, most people in the nearby towns didn't hear a thing. The blast was just instantaneous and brutal. Out of all 77 men, only 3 who were right near the entrance survived. The hoist operator and 2 other guys were hit by this huge rush of air that knocked them out cold. They were the lucky ones. For everyone else, right after the explosion came this silent, deadly wave of carbon monoxide and methane that just flooded the tunnels. So how did anyone on the surface even know something was wrong? Well, the first sign was this thick, black smoke just pouring out of the mouth of the number 3 vein. Then, emergency alarms from other mines nearby started shrieking across the valley, and this awful panic set in. Families started rushing to the mine, just desperate from any news about their husbands, their fathers, their sons. To really grasp the scale of what was lost that day, we have to understand the world that disappeared along with those men. See, Bear Creek wasn't just a random collection of houses. It was this vibrant, international community, a whole town whose entire reason for being was carved right out of the coal seams running under its feet. Bear Creek really wasn't your typical grim company town. Not at all. In its heyday, it was a wild, busy place with people from all over the world. Finland, Wales, Italy, you name it. And the mine owners didn't own the town, so miners could live where they wanted, shop where they wanted. This freedom created this really independent, lively community that some people even called a little slice of utopia. And the Smith mine was the absolute beating heart of this community. It grew from this small, local thing into an industrial powerhouse. The real game changer was the railroad arriving in 1906, because that connected Bear Creek's coal to the rest of the country. Demand went through the roof during World War I, and by 1942, with another world war raging, the mine and the men working in it were being pushed to their absolute limits. Back at the mine, an agonizing wait began. 9 days. 9 long days of hope just slowly turning to despair. The first rescue attempts were stopped in their tracks. This was an era before modern safety rules, so there was basically no real rescue equipment on site, and the tunnels were just choked with poisonous gas and smoke. A call for help went out, and experienced miners from Butte and other parts of Montana rushed to help. And these men were heroes, going into that toxic darkness again and again. But the conditions were just impossible. Many were overcome by the fumes and had to be carried out. The gas was so deadly that one of the volunteer rescuers died too, becoming the disaster's 75th victim. And deep inside the mine, some of the men knew their time was up. Rescuers later found this incredibly moving farewell note. It was scrawled on a piece of timber by 2 miners, Walter Joki and John Sudar. Trapped in the dark, their very last thoughts were of their families. After 9 agonizing days of recovery efforts, the final toll was confirmed. 74. 74 miners, from 19 years old to 72, were gone. It is still the worst coal mining disaster in Montana's history. But the tragedy didn't end when the recovery teams left. For the town of Bear Creek, the disaster was a mortal wound. It was something it would just never recover from. The explosion didn't just kill 74 men. In a lot of ways, it killed the town itself. I mean, think about this. Instantly, in one morning, the disaster created 58 widows. It left 125 children without a father. The town's entire social fabric was just shredded. The grief was overwhelming, but it was about to be compounded by total economic devastation. This comparison right here tells the whole story. The town that was once this thriving hub just started bleeding people and businesses. The Smith mine never really got back on its feet, and the final nail in the coffin came in 1953, when the railroad, the town's economic lifeline, just stopped running. Bear Creek was broken. So what's left today?
Well, the disaster left more than just broken hearts in a dying town. It left a physical scar on the landscape, a long shadow that you can still see and feel to this day.
If you drive along Montana Highway 308, you'll see them. The abandoned buildings of the Smith Mine Complex, just standing there like these silent, decaying monuments to what happened. Structures like this old car repair shop, they're just a stark reminder of the industry that once powered this whole area. And look at these. They're like the iron skeletons of the old coal processing plant and the boxcar loaders. It's really all that's left of this huge operation. You can almost hear the faint echoes of the machines and the men who worked here, kind of like a ghostly whisper on the wind that rustles through the prairie grass. But the memory is kept alive not just by ruins, but by people making a conscious choice to remember. In the cemeteries in Bear Creek and Red Lodge, and inside the county museum, you'll find these granite memorials engraved with all 74 names, making sure that the men who went into the mine that day are never, ever just a number. It all kind of leaves us with this one big question to think about. How does a landscape remember? A disaster like this, it changes a place forever. You can see it in the empty streets, feel it in the crumbling buildings, and read it in the names carved in stone. It's such a powerful story of how an industry can build a community and how in one terrible moment, it can take it all away.